How's it going, everyone? I'm Landan with LMR.com. Welcome to my overview and install of SVE's ABS delete block designed for the 1994 to 1997 Mustangs. SVE's ABS delete block is definitely going to cater to two different types of Mustang owners. One may be that you have a malfunctioning ABS module and you're considering taking the easy way out and just omitting it from the braking system altogether, or you're transitioning the car to a dedicated race car. This block is constructed from billet aluminum and is precision machined to be a direct bolt-in modification. Each machine port has the same thread pitch to that of the factory ABS module, allowing the factory fittings to fully seat within the distribution block. As far as weight is concerned, this delete block weighs in at a very light 1.7 pounds and the ABS module tips the scale at 13. So if you do some quick math, this delete block will save you 11.3 pounds. Now you will notice a small hex socket plug on the side of the ABS delete block. Leave this alone, as each block will have this because of the machining process. Now this delete block is meant for off-road use only, and by removing the ABS module, the ABS light on the dash will be illuminated. It is designed for 1994 to 1997 SN95 Mustangs that are obviously equipped with ABS. We also have a 94 to 97 Cobra specific version available as well. The reason for the Cobra only delete block is because of the different size fittings on two of the brake lines. Ford did change the design of the ABS module in 1998, which is why you currently see an ABS delete block for two different year ranges. In the box will be one ABS delete block, two retaining bolts, and an assortment of vacuum caps. That way you can cap off the brake lines so you don't have fluid pouring out all over you while you work. Now, a couple of things to go over before we get started. You will have to bleed the brakes whenever you finish installing the delete block. We do have a general video on how to bleed the brakes in your Mustang, so be sure and check that one out before you get started. Since we are dealing with steel fittings and an aluminum delete block, it is very important to thread the fittings all the way into the block by hand. I'll emphasize that a little more during the installation of our ABS delete block. To get started, safely support the vehicle with a lift or jack stands. Remove the fasteners from the radiator cover and then set the cover out of your way. Our car had broken headlight covers, but these are supposed to be attached to the radiator cover. Remove the small hose from the nipple on the radiator. Disconnect the electrical connection from the overflow reservoir and the fan. Feed this harness to the passenger side of the engine bay and position it out of the way. Loosen and remove the small 5mm bolt securing the electrical connector to the CCRM. Loosen and remove the two 8mm bolts securing the reservoir bracket to the top of the core support. Lift this assembly out of the car and set it aside. Now there are two connections that are secured to the fan shroud. These lead to the ABS module. Now the smaller connection is kind of difficult to disconnect, so removing the harness clip from the shroud and then disconnecting it makes life a little bit easier. The larger connector simply releases by pushing in on the small tab. Place a drain pan or bucket underneath the ABS module. Loosen and remove the ground strap from the core support. Now we can loosen and remove the two lower brake line fittings from the ABS module. Have some rags ready, as fluid will start to run out whenever the fitting is loosened. Remove the end of the fitting from the port and cap the line. Do the same for the other fitting. Underneath the passenger side frame rail, loosen and remove the two 10mm ABS bracket retaining bolts. Loosen and remove the three fittings located at the top of the ABS module. Because of how the fluid circulates within the brake system, the three upper brake lines won't need to be capped. Use a 6-inch extension and 10mm socket to remove the upper bracket retaining bolts. Of course, you want to remove these one at a time and make sure you hold the module with your free hand when removing the second bolt. Carefully feed the module past the brake lines and set it in your drain pan. At this point, you can wipe down the area and make sure there isn't any brake fluid present on painted surfaces. Before installing the SVE ABS delete block, flush the ports with compressed air to dislodge any foreign material that may be present within the passages. Whenever this is done, position the delete block into place and then thread in the provided bolts by hand. Go ahead and fully tighten these two bolts because once you have the upper brake lines installed into the delete block, tightening the two retaining bolts is near impossible. Because of how Ford designed the circulation of the brake fluid, we'll install the 3 upper lines first. It is very important that you thread each fitting all of the way into the delete block by hand. Do not, and I repeat, do not use a wrench until the fitting has bottomed out into the block. If you just thread it partially in by hand and then turn it the rest of the way with a wrench, you're gonna run the risk of cross-threading the port. So whenever the fitting is hand tight, snug it down with a flare or opened-end wrench. Do this for all 3 of the upper fittings. Moving to the 2 lower fittings now. Be mindful that fluid will flow from these lines, so have some rags ready whenever you remove the vacuum caps. Remove the vacuum cap from either one of the lines and hand tighten the fitting into the delete block. Once I got the fitting started, I ran it down with a towel so that I could soak up any fluid as it ran out. Snug it down with a wrench. Of course, do the same for the other fitting. Wipe the delete block with quality brake clean and inspect the surrounding areas for brake fluid. Tape the now exposed ABS electrical connections and reinstall the harness clips into the fan shroud. Now you can reinstall the overflow reservoir assembly. Reinstall and tighten the 2 retaining bolts. Reconnect the low coolant electrical connection and the fan, as well as the overflow hose. Reconnect the CCRM connection and retighten the small 5mm hold down bolt. Reinstall the radiator cover and then thoroughly check over your work. Now you can remove all 4 of the wheels and begin bleeding your brakes. Once your brakes are bled, you're good to go. Wrapping things up here, guys, this ABS delete block from SVE fit very well into our 95 GT. This is because of its design and how it retains the factory mounting points on the frame rail. Trust me, we went through a few revisions on this one before we signed off on it. To see more how-to and review videos covering industry-leading products, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like and share this video with your friends, and don't forget to turn on notifications. That way you're notified every time we release new content. While you're at it, check out our other videos, and of course, for all things 1979 to present Mustang and SVT Lightning, keep it right here with the Real Enthusiasts, LMR.com.